And once again, good morning, everybody. My name is Dr. Patrick Flynn, and welcome to this morning's A Different Perspective. I am always so excited and glad that you guys are with me on this beautiful morning. It's kind of great. I've been here for some hours. I think that's why when I did my intro, I said good afternoon. But it's here. It's 8 o'clock in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and we have a bunch of snow coming down. It was so beautiful driving in this morning, having the wonderful snowfall, and it's still snowing beautifully. So all of you Midwesterners and people through Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, Michigan, be careful as you drive. It's one of the biggest snowstorms so far this year, well, I'd say this winter. But good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are doing wonderful. I'm so excited to share some great information. I hope you guys had a wonderful New Year's Eve, safe, wonderful holiday with friends and family. We did it, and we did here. We had a great celebration. It was actually fantastic. So I'm excited to start the new year off with some continuing things. But I will tell you this, the one thing that I love is the culture that we have. And the culture we have is this, we've done extremely well as a company, as a group of individuals through the course of the year. I reflected on our year, no joke. I sat back on New Year's Eve and I was here all by myself, walking around this big, huge corporate office, and I was like just reflecting on all the great things. And the one thing that I've always said, and I think Reagan said this, but don't quote me on it exactly, but I always said, do you want to see a great individual? Look at the people around him. I can honestly tell you, I've got the greatest people around me. And once again, if you want to be part of this great team, don't forget we got great job openings. We continue to get bigger every single month. Now we get more offices every single month and more docs coaching with us and everything, but we actually have more offices, more people, more staff. We increased our staff massively over the last, couple of years, but year especially. And it was interesting, and as we were sitting around the Times, all of a sudden our wonderful team said, hey, listen, Doc, we know you love giveaways. We know you love giveaways. Let's give more away. So look at this nice slide right here. Today, as you can see right here, on our giveaway slide, you can see that we are going to now give away over $1,000 worth of product today. Because as our wonderful crew that you can see sitting over to my left, be your right, you have Aaron and Lauren and Dr. Bryce, who actually is now 100% licensed in the state of Wisconsin. Congratulations, Dr. Bryce. He is here at Green Bay. But what they're going to do is this. We're going to continue our process of having giveaways. They sat down. I'm like, I love the idea. We always did December. And then the nice part is because you said, hey, Doc, love all the giveaways. My family won, people won. I won something that way. You didn't give them much away product. And they weren't complaining. They were giving me great suggestions. I absolutely love it. I'm like, well, guess what happens? Let's spend a lot of times. So I will tell you this. All this month, every Saturday morning, you will have an opportunity to win something. The nice part is this. As you saw, let's go back to Lauren, Aaron, and Bryce. Okay. As you can see, they got computers in front of them. They have supplements in front of them. What they're going to do is interact with them, talk with them. They're on the ADP or thewellnessway.adp. Let me see it. What's the website? thewellnessway.com/ADP. Or you can even type in adp.thewellnessway.com. And what you'll see is this. They are on a website platform because they can't kick us off. But anyways, they kick us off Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, been there, done that, and YouTube. But the idea is this, is interact with them, talk with them, share things with them, give them questions. Once again, Lauren and Aaron's obviously our head journalist, and Lauren's her daughter's also one amazing journalist. They love typing all day long. That's what they do. It's kind of nice. And you got Dr. Bryce there, interact, ask them questions. Just say hi to them that way. And they're gonna pick the winners today of this. But we have a special giveaway based on a request by somebody that sent me a message. So we're going to turn it over to Erin very quickly for a second, and she's going to announce something.
Okay, so continue interacting. We've got so many great things going on. Amanda, Kim, you're back. Shelly, you're back. This is fabulous, you guys. It's so good to see y'all. So do we go for it right now, Doc?
Yes.
We go for it right now. All right. You guys know Doc's heart, like he said, more giveaways, more giveaways. So we have an Academy giveaway that we're doing. Should we go for it now?
Just give her the name.
All right, okay. So this is a woman after my own heart. Stevie Ashley Ray, you are an amazing daughter. We are granting your mother the full Academy scholarship. Way to go.
It's awesome.
So
congratulations.
Great.
Yes. Congratulations.
Hey, Doc, have you got something else to say?
Not yet, not till the end.
Okay.
So we got more to say and stuff with that as we do our giveaways. You guys keep on messaging all of them over here at the ADP, and we'll go back to them at the end and see who our winners are. But the idea is this, is congratulations. And not a joke, this person sent me a very heartfelt message and things like that. And, you know, it's interesting because Dr. Bryce and Dr. Lucas probably helped me with the majority of my emails. And there's other docs that do, because we do get a ton every single day. Instagram, it's me and Dr. Lucas. So when people do say, I try to really interact with all of you. And they're wrong. Guys, I get, between all the platforms, I get thousands of messages a day. It's not a joke. That's why sometimes it's not just me answering, because I don't have enough time to do that. Even if I'd spent most of my day doing it. But the idea is this, but I sometimes read some of the most heartfelt messages that way. So remember, just have a question, come and ask. You'd be surprised what happens when you ask somebody. I always tell my daughters, if you need something or want something, now sometimes it's a no, but sometimes don't be asking for everything, okay? But the idea is this, sometimes, because I say no all the time, but the idea is sometimes you'd be surprised what you can do just by simple asking and heartfelt and honest and true. I would say this, it was really funny. I had somebody beg me for a lab and stuff like that. I gotta give you both worlds, because that woman that sent out the daughter for her mother was fantastic. But I'm kind of a stalker. I tell people this, it's really important. When I'm by stalkers is if you made me a message, I'm gonna check out your profiles, check out some of this, because I wanna see who you really are. And I had a person just begging, saying, I can't afford a lab, doc. Could you please give me a stool test or this. And so I went on the profile. And it was interesting because they legitimately 2 days before that, they said, can't wait for snow. We got 2 brand new Polaris snowmobiles. And I'm like, you ain't getting shit from me. You know what I'm saying? It's not a joke. I was like, so trust me, there are wonderful people out there, and there's some of you guys that I just want to, I will keep my thoughts to myself. But anyways, so therefore, when you do send me a heartfelt message, I am empathetic, compassionate, stuff like that. You'd be surprised what I would help you with if you just ask. So that being said, speaking of asking, speaking of Lauren and Erin and her team of writers, is don't forget every Friday I get my wonderful newsletter sent to me. And what you need to do is go to the website, scroll all the way down to the bottom. And as you noticed, you can put your email in there. You get this amazing, amazing free information, no solicitation, no sales, no anything. Put your information in there. Mind-blowing, absolutely incredible way to actually see all these wonderful articles. We have more subscribers every single week. Because why? Because our team is massively, they investigate greatly. And that's why I'm really proud about the Wellness Way puts out there. Remember, you may see a great leader, but look at the team around them. And I will always brag about our team and stuff like that. And even Travis basically knows what I'm doing before I even do it. He's that good. And no joke, his brother is with him today, joining our team, and he's helped us out before. But the nice thing is this, we keep getting bigger and need more people, but all those wonderful people put together, and that's why you see things like our amazing newsletter always get better. See, I always have this, start somewhere, but you can always make it better. We make everything we do better always. Now, that being said, talk about some amazing people and some amazing things. I think the most important part of even the website itself is up on that top right button, Find the Clinic, because you'll see all the wonderful people that help guide people across the world. As you can see those dots, that's an old screenshot of all the clinics right there, all over. It's more and more and more. Just keep going up. It's kind of exciting. And so once again, you get to find those docs, get to see them. Those are the people that are taking care of the people all over the world, including myself, to take care of wonderful people that need some guidance, need some information. And that's what I want to let you guys know. Our show today, our show all the time, is just good information that you can take and apply. And I try to put all the references up of all the research that I pull to go through all the shows. And once again, I put it up there so you can go do it yourself. I tell people, fact check what I say. Send me stuff that you want me to read, articles that way, and see if it's valid that way. Some of the things that I brought up today came from a question that one of you guys had. But remember, this is a great show for people's health topics. I promise you I'll never give medical advice. I'm gonna never comment on drugs and things like that, or what they should do with surgeries. You want that medical advice, go get there. I'm thoroughly convinced that the majority of medical advice is bad. Don't believe me? Look at the rates of disease that keep going up, and they're the leaders in healthcare. If they're leading you down a bad path. So I will never give you medical advice. I'm very proud to be a chiropractor because we think differently. And I know a lot of people say, Doc, chiropractors today aren't like you. That's okay. They just have a little more specialty in joints that way. But if you go back to the history of our profession, it's basically the way I practice. It just took the modern day technology and advanced it with our premises, our philosophy of care. There's wonderful chiropractors that just adjust. I love them. They're fantastic. I go see them. But if you think that structural joint problems are the only thing that make the body sick, which sometimes people say that chiropractically, and that's what gets them in trouble, but makes them look like they don't really know what they're talking about, there is some relationship to all that stuff. And I'm going to even cover some joint and neurological things today when we talk about some of the things when it comes to weight loss. But just understand, being a chiropractor, I love giving advice. All the people that work within the wellness ways don't give medical advice. And I'll tell you right now, because if their advice is so good, we wouldn't be so sick. Okay, and that being said, we're going to continue our series on women's health, as you can see, because women's health is, once again, very important to take care of our wonderful moms, our wives, our daughters, every person that we love, our friends, everything. So let's now move into our health topic perspective. So the question that I get repeatedly, especially because we are doing a challenge right now, is this right here. Is sugar bad for you? I'm hoping that if this is your first time tuning in, that you go back over the last month, 2 or so, that we've been covering a lot of the topics of sugar directly. Just understand. Having some of the things that we do and try to tell people, I can honestly tell you one of the number one things, advice I give, basically everybody, yes, are there exceptions to the rule? But I said basically, I didn't say everybody, but I would say over 90% of people, especially when they first came in to get care, I would say we need to cut back on the amount of available glucose-based foods that you eat. Now, I know for you guys that are new to this channel, what does that mean? That means, once again, if you eat something that readily absorbs quickly, glucose breaks away from sucrose. Sucrose is glucose and fructose together, and what it does, it makes your blood sugar jump up, instant response, a bunch of reactions that way. And if that's maintained for a long period of time, if you overconsume glucose, there can be a lot of issues that come up, including metabolic syndrome and other things. And high consumption and excess glucose intake over the course of time can lead to a lot of problems. There is no argument on that. But is sugar bad? No, we need it, and you can't even avoid it. For example, as you guys know, I went through some of the things I love when it comes to fruits. And the only difference is the fruit has a lot of fiber. I had a person ask me the question the other day, is there a difference between having just the whole fruit, like eating a blackberry or raspberry, and actually blending it? Yes, there is. Juicing it? Yes, there is. Pureeing? Yes, because here's what happens. The one thing that makes raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, and even strawberries, which is still down my list, I don't like to eat them a lot, is the fact that fiber's there. When you blend it and purify it and juice it, you separate the fiber, which now gives you more available glucose and fructose, which can now affect things. Now you got to remember, fructose goes right to the liver. Glucose actually, once again, goes into the bloodstream. It's going to cause a bunch of other issues. But the idea is this, and you need those things. I'm not saying that fructose is bad. I'm not saying glucose is bad. But the overconsumption for long periods of time, it's why we have so many things. So that's why I tell people, watch these other nutrition people talk about saying, sugar isn't bad at all, saying that because we need carbs. I don't disagree on the aspect of carbs, but I'm trying to get people to stay with the things that have the most fiber, the least amount of available glucose to maintain good blood sugars, because if they get excess, it's a bad day. Now, one thing I want you guys to know is I want people to avoid it as much as possible. So we have our no sugar challenge, as you can see. And once again, if you haven't started yet, take your phone right now. Travis, leave this up for about another 10 seconds as I chat. So you can take your phone, get that, do your photos, see, and actually open up the page that will show you that there's a no sugar challenge. Now, is it difficult? Yeah. On my live on Instagram the other day, I had a person say, I couldn't even make it past the first day. Well, here's what happens. That means I would suspect that this person does eat excessive sugar and has the problems. Life is going to be hard. It's going to be hard if you pull away the sugar for the whole month. It's going to be hard if you're sick from the metabolic syndrome and the obesity and the increase in adipose tissue and visceral tissue and all the things that become when you actually have excessive sugar. I get it. Some of those palatable foods that we eat have a sugar component to it. Now, once again, I know people did this. They said, Doc, well, I'm more of a salt person. I get it. You're the exception, not the rule. The majority of people, I'd say 90+% of the people, are going to crave more sugar than they ever will salt. Yes, I even crave salt every once in a while, But I would say sugar craving is probably the most dominant factor that is there. And having clinical experience, talking to hundreds of thousands of patients just directly, but also millions of people all across the world that see all of our offices, it's by far a huge addiction. So what you need to do is this. Go over to the No Sugar page. I have a ton of people on there. We give you information daily. Everything's free. Go over there, check it out. You're going to be a wonderful page. It's actually on Facebook, and just a good group of individuals going through, and everybody's posting sometimes 100 times a day in there, just to show like we have different recipes, different things, what's good to have, what's not good to have, and all those things. Because once again, it's sometimes hard to do something alone. You're not alone. You're not alone. You got us there for you. You're not alone. So just understand, join us in it. It's pretty fantastic. I did a 72-hour fast. I'm going to do another 72-hour fast this upcoming week. I'm going to do that every single week through the process of the month. And then once again, there are major benefits for doing it. And one of the key things that people want, obviously, during the process is weight loss. So we've been talking about weight loss on a regular basis, and it's important for you guys to know, listen, I know a lot of people during January, they say, listen, I want a new year, new me, and weight's one of the things that most people want to address. We're going to talk about this. And we're also going to talk about, sometimes people say, listen, doc, I'm fairly skinny, but I have a belly. What can I do? We're going to talk a little about that today and some of the things that we're going to go through. But it's very important for you guys to know that as we start to have the No Sugar Challenge, there's major benefits that come from that. So what we're going to cover today is really simple. What are the benefits of avoiding sugar during the course of the challenge? So January 1st through 31st, what are some of the benefits? What can I expect? What can I see? Now, obviously, weight loss is going to be one of the most important things. That's because it's by far it's what most people want. And that's okay. I encourage you. I think it's great. I've already had people this week on the No Sugar page say, doc, oh my goodness, I lost 5 pounds. I'm like, well, you didn't lose 5 pounds of fat. You're not going to break down that much adipose tissue unless you're really obese. In a week like that, you're going to actually lose some water, which we'll talk about in a short time. But you do metabolize a little bit of fat, okay? Maybe if you lost 5, maybe you did 1 or maybe 2 pounds. Usually it's more apt to do 1 unless you really dropped your calorie intake. And I did have somebody already say this to me on the page, and this is fantastic. Make your comments, share your successes, share your frustrations, share the things they're going through this way. That's the whole idea of the page. Send me a message, doc, I just really am upset because this did happen. So let me give you a perfect example. Instagram, I got a message, actually no joke, I was looking at it last night before I went to bed. So doc, I'm so frustrated. I've been at no sugar all week, and I even did intermittent fasting, and I really haven't lost anything. And so I messaged her back, said, anything? She goes, well, no, I went down about 1 pound, but I thought I'd do more. And so then I sent her another message. I said, can you do me a favor? What is your time restricted eating? Because I don't like the term intermittent fasting because you're not really fasting, you're just time restricted eating. I said, what time are you eating from? She said, I'm eating from noon till 8. Okay, fantastic. So she has a longer fasting time, restriction time, from the time she goes to bed till the following lunchtime, decent time. And I said to her, I said, okay, can you do me a favor? Can you give me an idea what you eat during that time when you're done by 8 o'clock? And no joke, she sent me a message back in about probably a half an hour. And it was interesting because I looked at the food she consumed, and she was probably consuming 3,000 calories. Okay, 3,000 calories. I was like, young lady, you could intermittent fast till 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock. If you consume that many calories during that time, it's going to be very difficult for you to lose weight because, remember, you need to put yourself in reduction of calories to a certain point. But I'm telling you right now, I guarantee you're not burning off 3,000 calories. I'm like, how hard are you exercising per day? And she's like, not a lot. I'm like, oh my goodness, then you could go no sugar, you could intermittent fast. The amount of calorie intake that you're doing is significant, and your body needs to reduce those things. So understand that, listen, there are some factors, and if you're frustrated, share about that. We hope to guide you a little bit, give you some information that you can take and try some different things. Because the vast majority of people, once again, have lost some decent weight over the first week. I'm very excited for you and very proud of you guys. Now, some of the things we're going to talk about when we talk about what happens over the course of the 31 days when you reduce sugar, I like to take certain references. So you can, once again, Google search these, go to PubMed, and there was some fantastic thing that came out in Frontier Immunology, and here we go. If you take a look at it, excess intake of sugar, an accomplice of inflammation. Now, I watched a guy the other day talk about, someone, and he's a PhD guy, and he likes to take people's videos and things. He goes, I don't trust anybody who talks about inflammation. I'm like, okay, because he said they try to use it as a buzzword. Yeah, but guess what happens? When you understand immunology and the aspect of inflammation, guess what happens? There's people that can, speak on it quite well. And I'm like going, because they tried to use like buzzwords, decreasing the people as, let's say, authority or effectiveness of speaking about inflammation. But the idea is this, to think about this way, it's an accomplice to inflammation, just in general. Once again, so the idea of the fact that when you consume sugar too much, there's an inflammatory response. So I want to show you that once again, that you can see these things and start to go through it. I have many more articles I want to say, but take a look. It was just published in the Frontier Journal of Immunology in 2022. So it's a very fantastic article. I pulled a lot of stuff over here. Now, once again, I already knew this stuff. It wasn't like this is new to me and stuff like that. I just like to give you references. So if someone says, sugar doesn't cause inflammation, I'm like, here's the mechanism behind it. So here we go. So we're going to start. The benefits of avoiding sugar. What are they? Number one, your face will begin to thin. Okay? Your face will begin to thin. That's a really good one, all right? That's why if you start to notice, you'll start to see some slenderness. People say, oh, doc, I can start to see my cheekbones. I start to see my, my jawline that way. Absolutely. It's one of the major benefits that people get when they actually see that. It's a really good thing to notice that they have when it thins that way. It's fantastic, because why? Because is there a change in adipose tissue? Yes. Is there a change in water? Yes. It's one of the major benefits that people have. It's something they can notice right away. And it's a fantastic thing because people want to have different things. So I encourage you, if you're on the No Sugar Challenge page, or if you're just doing this by yourself, take pictures of yourself every week. If you started on Sunday, do me a favor, Monday, on December 1st, January 1st, do me a favor, take a picture every Monday and just compare. You'd be surprised how it changes week by week. You don't seem to notice it that much because it's like when you have a child. Next thing you know, you have a child, a year goes by, 2 years go by, and all of a sudden you see them grow in just step by step. Some person that hasn't seen them in a year, they're like, oh my goodness, did they grow so fast? And you're like, doesn't seem that fast, okay? Because they seem like they're just inching along. But the people, guess what? They see that on a regular basis. Now, second, here we go. You will lose belly fat. That's very important. Now, the one thing that people do not realize is when you look at some of the things that do happen when you consume sucrose, okay? Sucrose is just glucose and fructose together. And that's why I find it quite funny when people say fruit doesn't have sugar, and they mean really glucose. It has just fructose. That's not really true. It actually has a little bit more fructose than the main things. That's why even the term fruit came from. But the idea is there is glucose in fruit. So, but what really makes a difference on the fruits that you should eat is based on the fiber content. And like I said before, please don't blend them. Please don't puree them. Please don't juice them. I just don't believe you should alter it from its original state, because what you're going to do is you're going to notice that you're going to have some constituents and separate the fiber, and you get a little bit more available fructose and glucose. But that being said, when you do eat fructose compared to glucose, fructose, like we talked about, has a major effect on the liver, and glucose has more chance of going into the adipose tissue. Yes, it actually produces in the triglyceride form and helps and does that. That's why you do see some of the changes that happen in your adipose tissue, your visceral, but also the subcutaneous. Now, here's one thing, and that's why you see even change in your jaw and your face, but also belly fat. Now, what I want to do is beyond this, is just by avoiding sugar, I always want you to do something, to add something. I always call, when I always took care of people, I said, listen, I want you to do the ADD diet. And they're like, Doc, what does ADD stand for? It doesn't stand for anything. I just want you to add a couple things into your diet on a regular basis that I think are fantastic. If you know, or if everybody under my care, you know that I want you to do sauerkraut. I want you to do some organ meats. Well, organ meats first, sauerkraut. I want you to actually put some things in there that are very beneficial to your body. That are going to do some wonderful things. But here's something, ladies, but both men and women, ladies had a positive effect on this than men did. So here we go. They did some wonderful research on this. This is well published. And I think that all of you guys will do this, and it takes very little effort. What they found really simple from this article right here. Avocado consumption abdominal endoscopy, and oral glucose tolerance among persons with overweight and obesity. Now, what they found out was this. They took a significant amount of people and they fed a group 1 avocado a day, both men and women, and the people the exact same meal but didn't have an avocado. And what they found out was the subcutaneous fat was distributed better through their body. That means, ladies, it pulled it away from the belly and put it to other parts of your body, including breasts, including arms, including legs. It made a better distribution, so they had a better contour and look to them. It also happened with males. It's just that, ladies, here's what happens. You will always look more beautiful than men. You by far always will, because you actually by nature have more subcutaneous fat underneath your skin. That's what makes your skin so soft and beautiful. It's a great thing. And that's why, once again, I've always said I get very frustrated, and yes, there are some exceptions to the rule, that when women try to reduce so much of their subcutaneous fat, because there is an endocrine part of it. There is an endocrine part which actually produces and converts hormones, that you can actually affect your hormones when women have six packs. You're supposed to have a nice contour. But what they found out during the consumption of this, what they now realize is, guess what? By consuming an avocado a day for 12 weeks, for 3 months, they had better distribution of their subcutaneous fat. Now, number 3, as you can see here, it will help you improve your mood. Your mood will improve. See, this is not a joke. I had so many people say, Doc, oh my goodness, it just seemed like my mood was a little bit more stable. Yes, because there is factors that do affect part of the brain when it comes to excess glucose intake. As you can see right here, the depressogenic potential of adding dietary sugars. Now, once again, I encourage you guys to do and research all this stuff by yourself. See, I read research. I read at least 10 to 12 research articles per day, and then I put them into my just my folders that way, and I pull them out when I want to do certain talks this way. And it's kind of nice. I subscribe to a bunch of journals. I read on a regular basis. No joke. I just got my email from Harvard Medical School. They have their their online courses that they have available. So I start my next one next week, and I'm always studying, I'm always learning, I'm always taking classes. There'll be very few times in a year, which doesn't happen, that I'm not taking some college course from some school that actually gives me some information that I can share with you guys and either confirm or even challenge, but also even disagree with some of the things that they're putting out there. But there's a lot of great things out there, and so you can see these articles, go look them up. The reference in there, it's kind of fantastic, but look at the depressive potential of adding dietary sugars. And if we look just at the highlighted area, I read the whole article, but I just pulled up the abstract for you. We conclude that the extant literature support the hypothesized depressogenic impact of adding dietary sugars, and propose that improving understanding the effects of sugar on the body and mind may aid in development of novel therapeutics and preventative measures for depression. Now, once again, so that's why I tell people it's very important to do what? It's very important to pull those away, because now there could be mood changes that can lead to depression, that can lead to other things, and they continue to study this. But I believe it won't get a lot of study, because here's why. Now, it does have some great articles and great stuff, and there's going to be certain journals that do, but you're never going to see this much on mainstream media, because here's what happens. I always tell people, look at all the conditions out there affecting the psychology. Hey, just by starting to reduce some of the sugar because you're consuming too much, there can be a negative effect that happens to you neurologically that can lead to mood disorders, including depression. So therefore, just once again, to support your brain, what I want you to do is I want you to start to cut back on sugars. Your brain needs a lot of DHEA and EPA, so maybe add some cod liver oil to support good brain health. It's very important. So now, after going through those 3 things, of your face will begin to thin, you will lose weight, belly fat, your mood will improve. Number 4, better focus and attention. I think that is significant in today's world, considering the fact that we have so many young men and women, young children, boys and girls, on forms of medication. Now, once again, this is where people sometimes mistake them giving medical advice. I'm not. I'm just saying, listen, there's consequences to those medications. Please don't act when you give these to children, or actually even adult, that there isn't negative effects. They're listed on there. On top of it, they don't understand the mechanism of how everything works. That's why it's quite interesting. Do you really think we know the aspect of everything, how the human body works? No. So therefore, putting something in there, you may try to see an effect or even see a change, but there are negative consequences that happen with that. I just want doctors to be honest with people when it comes to this, okay? It's quite scary sometimes. Now, what I want you guys to understand is this. The next one, which is really important, is here. There's a reduction in fluid retention. That's very important. There's a reduction in fluid retention. Because you know why? It's important for people to understand that there is a massive change in fluid when this does happen. And as you can see, if we go back to this article here, it talks about the excessive intake of sugar accumulation and how it affects. Because as fluid retains, once again, you're going to start to notice that you start to get puffy. And by being puffy and inflamed, there are certain mechanisms from the immune system, from the kidneys, because people don't realize this. The number one damaging effect to kidneys is actually high glucose levels for a long period of time. That's why if you ever noticed, diabetics, both type 1 and type 2, can end up with some major kidney diseases and even end up on dialysis because of the destruction it does to it. Now, why is that so important to understand? Is because here's what happens. By reducing it, it does take the burden off the kidney. There's better water release. Now, if you notice, high sugar intake, also high carbohydrate intake with available glucose, reduces our potassium. Potassium is, remember, and it allows our sodium to be excessive within our body. So therefore, oh my goodness, we're all puffy. We need to reduce our sodium. Now, once again, can people have excess sodium intake? I think people suffer more from deficiency of potassium than excess salt, okay? Because we need a significant amount of salt. It's one of the most important minerals in our body. But what happens is the balancing mineral is potassium. Most people do not realize that they can deplete their potassium by a high glucose, high carbohydrate-based diet like that. Now, that being said, it's very important, as you can see right here, as we talk about some of the things that create some fluid retention, is certain immune responses. I'm just going to read some of the beginning parts to you this way. I just have this up there for references to show you. But look at this, the effects of dietary sugars on low-grade chronic inflammation. So when people want to talk about it's just a general term, no, there's very specifics, but let's look at what it says. It has been shown that excess intake of dietary sugars can cause metabolic disorders, we know that, and induce the increase in inflammatory mediators and certain pro-inflammatory cytokines in various tissues, which lead to insulin resistance, low-grade chronic inflammation. Now, that chronic inflammation can have a negative effect on all parts of the body. So there's an immune response, and some of those major cytokines can be like interleukin 6. So you want to look that up. You can even measure that. You know, in our immune panel, you can see interleukin 6. So then there's, once again, as we start to change and support the body and start to get some major glucose normalization that way, there's sometimes if that's one of the major contributors to why the interleukin is elevated, you can see start some decrease. Is that the only thing that causes inflammation? Absolutely not. See, that's the thing. That's the idea of being guided. Some people can have excess glucose, some people can have an infection, some people have a twisted ankle, some people can have all the inflammatory things that lead to an immune response. An immune response, there's what? There's cytokines, there's chemokines, there's other factors and different hormones that are released during time, and there's a cascade of things that can happen. Now, Durham, if you twist your ankle, I expect there to be an immune response, an inflammatory response. So there is a response that's good. But what happens is when you induce a response by just excessively eating sugar, that's not good. And so as you saw from the article above, there's a major inflammatory effect that can be slow and chronic. And that's what people say, you know, when you look at what happens is, well, eat sugar, nothing majorly happens. Well, no, things take time to develop. There's not one person that gets sick overnight. The only people that really get sick overnight is when there's a major episode. Let me give you an example. As I said before, it's snowing outside. It's beautiful, but I guarantee on the way home it's gonna be a little slippery. And if all of a sudden somebody gets in a major car accident and breaks a leg, your immune system is going to try to have a major inflammatory response, interleukin 6, all the other inflammatory, pro-inflammatory cytokines, everything, and that's a good thing. It's trying to repair some damage. But what if your excessive sugar just causing significant damage over time? It's just a little bit, a drip in a bucket, a drip in a bucket, drip in a bucket, and then eventually it overflows. And as you can see here from the graph in the research article, there's multiple factors that are done there. And if you look up above, it talks about the brain and multiple sclerosis. There's neurological things that happen. And look down below, there's rheumatoid arthritis. You see some of the autoimmune conditions. There's irritable bowel disorder. There's psoriasis, there's skin. See, there's so many factors that end up happening that way that do that. So it's very important for you guys to notice that there is going to be a reduction in inflammation because of the things that happen with everybody there. And as you can see, just look along, just by the benefits of avoiding sugar right now. Once again, your face, you lose some belly fat, you improve your mood, it's better focus and attention, the reduction in inflammation. But also, next, there's just a reduction in joint pain. Remember, being a chiropractor, we can go through all of our diagnostics and all of our exams and take x-rays and do things, and we can see joint issues. Just by that alone, there's structural integrity that's lost, and there's going to be an inflammatory response. So even that can cause an immune response. And if it's left chronically, like sugar, there can be a chronic effect that's systemic. So therefore, but guess what? You can have a minor joint problem. For example, we all have been there. This happened, I guarantee, a lot on New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve, people went out and consumed a lot of alcohol, a lot of inflammatory foods, and they woke up the next morning and they're all stiff and sore and, oh, my fingers, I can't take my ring off, I got all these things. Yes, because there was a trigger of the immune response. There was also excess of sugar intake because alcohol is basically pure sugar. It's one of the reasons why I just won't drink. Like I said, I've never drank, I don't like it. Like I said, for myself. Not condemning anybody that does it, because you can get some decent forms of alcohol. I'm cool with that. But for me, it's like I would just probably swell up like crazy. And on top of it, once again, you can have joint issues from your elbow to your back, to your neck, to your knee, that when you have that excessive glucose, you're going to have some irritation chronically from some joint issues that might be on a scale of 1 to 10, a 2, and maybe it goes up to 4 or 6. And you wake up in the morning like, oh. So that's one thing I noticed. So being a chiropractor, think this way. Someone even comes in with pain, just strict joint pain. I'd look at them and say, listen, can you do me a favor? I want you to take a look at your labs, see where your glucose levels are at, see where hemoglobin A1C is at, because they could be in significant amount of pain. And I'll say, listen, we need to bring down your glucose. Well, why, doc? Because your hemoglobin A1C is at 7. Your blood glucose is at 105. This can contribute to some joint pain. And if you think I'm just going to adjust you and all your pain's going to go away, you're mistaken. And that's why I believe in the world today, if we're so unilateral on our therapies, being a chiropractor, we're going to miss some of the big things, because our whole profession started out as saying, listen, there's trauma, there's toxins, and there's thoughts. So therefore, we need to address all the 3 T's, even to reduce pain. So I just think that once again, the profession has moved a little bit more too much in the joint issue, just as far as correction that way. But I can show you this way. You can get adjusted. He even has some pain reduction, but it just seems to never go away. It's always hanging around a little bit. Then guess what happens? There's other inflammatory things that are increasing cytokines. And could be infection, could be excessive sugar intake. Either way, guess what happens? There is a difference there. Now, once again, coming back to that graph, as you can see quite simply here, you know what I'm saying? There's multiple factors that come in there, and they show you the liver because there's multiple things that happen as far as like non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Yes, if you're doing an excessive amount of alcohol, there's going to be a significant thing that happens there, and there's going to be some issues. Now, as we go into the next step, I think this is vitally important that you see this. A better immune response. A better immune response. See, so there can be a release of inflammatory cytokines, aka immune hormones, that affect tissues all through the body. But you're going to get a better immune response. You're going to get a better lasting immune response. Because by nature, when we do consume sugar, there's things that compete to get into a cell, including immune cells, by certain receptors that sugar binds onto and doesn't allow certain like vitamin C and antioxidant properties to get immune cells, and that's why therefore there could be less neutrophils, and therefore it affects your immune response. But also, there's some other things that happen, as we can see here. And I just took the highlights, but let's look at the top. The effects of dietary sugar on autoimmune diseases. And you can see down below the fact that the effects of the mechanism of high sugar diets include rheumatoid arthritis, MS, psoriasis, inflammatory bowels, have only been uncovered in recent years. So it's been studied. And I tell people is this, that's why when somebody comes in with any autoimmune condition, I'll say, listen, these factors can be inflammatory, so you are systemically inflamed from having any autoimmune condition. So let's do everything we can to back off on that, to take a burden off the immune system, so you are not irritating, inflaming the tissues that you already have damage from the autoimmune disease. And that's why they see some benefit to it right away. Look at this one. If we look at this There's macrophages. These things you see, let's read at the top. Macrophages are one of the most specialized antigen-presenting cells. That means it eats something up and gives it to the immune system, the other parts of the immune system, whose main functions are to secrete cytokines, there we go, hormones, phagocytes, and present antigen to T cells. Now, as you go through, you see what happens this. We're going to skip down a little bit more at the bottom. High doses of glucose can induce superoxide ion production in macrophages and monocytes and promote the release of monocyte inflammatory cytokines, which upregulate innate immune system receptors by activating the process. Complementary to this, high glucose conditions impair neutrophil mobilizations, which is due to the elevated TLR expression. Just understand the fact that this, by consuming, going into sugar, there's certain reactive oxygen species that are produced. It's bad inside the cell. It releases more TRLs. It's just a bad day, okay? And there's more inflammatory things going through the body. So if you look at all the things that will happen to you over the course of the month, it's more than just belly fat. It's more than just a thin face. There's a systemic response from your immune system to your circulatory system to the lymphatic system. See, just by even reducing your amount of visceral fat and subcutaneous fat, there's a better response on your lymphatic drainage. There's a better response on your circulatory system. So therefore, there's better blood flow. There's better drainage of toxins that are trying to circulate through the lymphatic system and get out. So the benefits, I just covered 7 quickly. I could probably go on for 3 hours, the massive benefit of just trying to reduce that sugar for a course of time. Now, once again, let me tell you again, you can never get rid of all your sugar, and you wouldn't want to. For example, it's just that people eat too many calories, and the glucose-based foods, the sucrase-based foods that have both fructose and glucose, are consumed for too high for too long, raising the chance of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, raising the increase of triglycerides, raising the increase of adipose tissue, both visceral and subcutaneous. And then we have the major problems with metabolic disease, and that contributes and aggravates every disease. So therefore, by joining the challenge, staying with us, sticking to it, struggling through with everybody else, there's going to be some major health benefits. And I mean this very sincerely. What does that cost you? Some emotions. We're all emotional. It's hard. Life is hard. Pick your heart. Do you understand is this? I responded to that guy and said, listen, you quit after one day, it's hard. But guess what happens? So is being fat. So is being sick. So is having a condition that is contributed to by metabolic syndrome. Pick your heart. Choose your heart. You get a choice. So therefore, join us. And once again, you can go to the No Sugar Challenge page. We have just the do's and don'ts and things like that. It's all free. Go there. It's absolutely incredible. And we sit there and dialogue back and forth because we're all going to do it and going to struggle through it. And for a lot of people that do this for a long time, it's not that much of a struggle. Actually, it's more of a struggle when I say I'm going to fast for all that time. And we continue to do that too. It's hard, but the benefits are great. Okay. Now, switching gears a little bit, but related to the topic of all the things that are going on. People say, Doc, with all this stuff in No Sugar Challenge, can I take certain supplements? Absolutely, okay? And that's why when we look at in general, we take a look at this. There are significant number of benefits avoiding sugar. And that's the good part. We just covered those. And so people say, Doc, what kind of supplementation and stuff can I take? And can I take something, because I read a lot about it, can I do this? Here we go. So here's the question I got presented the other day. Is it okay to take Berberine during No Sugar Month? Sure. I mean, once again, there's some contraindications of why sometimes not to take it that way. But once again, people say, can I take it? I said, sure. And I said, what is your purpose for taking it? And they're like, well, weight loss. Okay, how does it work? And see, this is the thing. I love mechanisms of actions of everything. I like how the mechanisms of actions of immune cell. I love mechanisms of actions if you take a specific nutrient and what it does to certain cells of the body and things like that. But people speak too much in general. And they say, well, guess what happens? Berberine, it's actually good for weight loss because that's what I want to accomplish. Okay, how does it work? And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, don't you think you should research a little bit? So what I'm going to do is this, I'm going to go through Berberine just a little bit so you understand it, because there's some fallacies out there about it. And I'm going to show you one very quickly. But just understand, Berberine is a compound found naturally in many plants. I'm actually going to go show the highest concentration of plants that have this. But once again, it's a compound found naturally in plants. Okay, so here we go. If you look, obviously there's a very, very, very common medication that people are taking a significant amount of that way. I just encourage you to go research it, understand the mechanism of action, understand the negative side effects of it that way, and you decide what you want to do. That's between you and your doctor. It's between you if you want to do something like that, but just research it. But you see this a lot, and I kind of giggle and laugh about this because I've studied this medication in great depth for my own knowledge and what it's trying to do. And then I had articles like this, okay, on CBS News, okay? What is Berberine? The supplement dubbed nature's Ozempic on social media. Social media use claims the compound helped them lose weight. Does it actually work? Okay, so I've had people say all the time, can Berberine replace Ozempic? And I'm like, okay, let me ask a question. What is the mechanism of action for Berberine? I don't know. What's the mechanism of action for Ozempic? I don't know. But the whole general idea is just want to lose weight. Well, let me give you a, for sure, absolutely way to lose weight. Fast for the next 40 days. Now, that wasn't advice. It's actually stupid. I'm not saying you can't do that for Christian purposes or religious purposes and things that I've known people that have done it. And guess what? Everyone lose weight. Everyone has, all right? See, as I said, if you truly want to lose weight, just reduce your calories long enough. Now, people say, but doc, but that can actually, it can get excessive. Sure it can. But see, what's your goal? Lose weight. So to think that like Berberine and Ozempic are the same thing, they're not. Their mechanism of action is dramatically different. They do different things on different parts of the body. Do they both have the end result that most people want? Yes. Do they both have consequences? Yes. Are the consequences greater with medications than majority of natural things out there? Yes, they are. That's the only frustrating part of watching people give medical advice to people is they don't explain the consequences to them, all right? So let's do this. What I want to do is I want to walk you through Berberine, and guess what happens? I can show you the massive benefit to it, but there's going to be a little twist at the end. So hang in with me for the next 15 minutes. I'm going to go through this in great detail, and then we're going to talk about our giveaways. So here we go. Here's how it actually works. And you can look this up. It's very simple. Berberine, the main mechanism through which berberine exerts its effects appear to be the stimulation of an enzyme, AMPK, a master regulator of cellular energy homeostasis that is involved in a wide range of biological processes, including the regulation, here we go, glucose, lipid, and protein metabolism. So it stimulates the AMPK pathway. Let me say it again. It stimulates the AMPK pathway, and therefore there's going to be a change in regulation of glucose, lipid, and protein metabolism. So it makes it more efficient, stimulates it up a little bit. So if you want to break down lipids, guess what happens? You have a better factor to do that. Well, doc, would that sometimes then help with cholesterol? Yeah, it does. Would it help with glucose? Yes. Will it help it down, breaking down proteins and regenerate? Yes, 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 yes. Those are the things that do. So what I want to do is I want to pull up some of the research to show you. But here's just one article published in 2017. AMP protein kinase, a new target for nutraceutical compounds. See, so what they did is this, and it said, I'm just going to put up some of the articles this way. You can read it on your own that way. But they said they started to research saying, okay, listen, obviously they look at going, how can we target this? And in the medical world, when they understand the mechanism of action, it's all about manipulating it. That's why there's so many negative side effects, because this pathway exists in many things. And that's why I said, one thing why I believe medical advice can be very dangerous sometimes is they take it out of context. I mean, the fact that you can focus on the heart, and they figured out your liver, kidneys, and everything like that, but they'll study the heart and show the benefit to it, even with very little side effects, but there's major side effects happen in other parts of the body. Why? Because those same pathways, those same receptors are in different organs, and therefore it's going to affect them. You just didn't want it to happen, so they call it a side effect. No, it's a direct effect. So now, let's take a look at these pathways and what happens. Now, once again, I'm not going to read the whole thing for you that way, but just understand, let's just read a little bit of it. AMPK is an important energy sensor which is activated by increase of AMP, adenosine triphosphate ratio, and or ADP-ATPO. Increases different metabolic pathways such as fatty acid oxidation, which means breaks down, glucose transport, and mitochondrial biogenesis. You go down to the bottom, if you start to read, we evaluate the interactions of different nutraceutical compounds to induce this phosphorylation and application in diseases, cancer, diabetes, neurodegenerative disease, and cardiovascular disease. Okay, look at this. That means there's a positive benefit through some nutraceutical factors that deal with that. Now, as you can see right here, the metabolic functions and physiological reactions of AMPK. When AMPK is activated, a number of signaling pathways are initiated, having effects on lipids, glucose, and protein homeostasis. The effects are crucial for the regulation of metabolic events in liver, heart, skeletal muscle, brain, adipose tissue. AMP activated protein kinase is considered as a fuel sensor for glucose and lipid metabolism. Man, I'm telling you, stimulating that pathway, look at the things that we want to benefit that way. And as you can see, but it happens, as you saw, just like how sugar affects all the different organs, guess what happens? AMPK, as you can see here in the graph, actually affects the heart, the brain, the skeletal muscle, pancreas, liver, adipose tissue, and go down below and affects all the certain and specific things from genetics, nutrition, inactivity. All these factors come in there and played in there. And as you can see, metabolic dysregulation, it creates an AMPK deficit. So that's why if they look at some things that can stimulate, and yes, can things that you eat stimulate? Yes. Do genetics have impact? Yes. Does exercise affect it? Yes, yes, yes. So move, think well. Okay, guess what happens is this, eat the right things, and guess what happens? So what are some of the things that can stimulate that pathway? And they talked about it, and I just highlighted the perfect in the conclusion. They found berberine and other things, but berberine being one of the most factors that do it. And that's important. So think about that. I want you to think about that, what happens, okay? Berberine is one of the factors that was stimulating the AMPK process. So therefore, guess what? And they've even tried to target it with drugs. But the idea is, what if there was something that was just a little bit better? You say, a little bit, they might be a bit better, less side effects. See, everything that you want to do is minimize risk in anything you do. If you want to invest, minimize your risk. If you want to do health stuff, minimize your risk. If you want to do anything in business, minimize your risk. So therefore, guess what happens? Pharmaceuticals have a lot more risks. It doesn't mean that nutraceuticals don't have certain risks. They're just a lot less. And some of them have no risk. And that's the great part. And that's why it's good to be guided by somebody that has that kind of ideas and background. Now, the one thing I do like is this. Well, where can you, man, I'm going to run and I'm going to get berberine supplementation. Here's the twist. Here's the twist. And let me stop you for a second. I would never encourage anybody to take a berberine supplement. And I'll explain why. Because I've said this before. I don't like isolated compounds. For example, it doesn't mean that there can't be some positive benefit, but I believe you never get the full benefit. And let me show you why. Let's take a look here. Let's take a look here. Berberine and its role in chronic disease. So look what it did. It went from, oh my goodness, we have this going on, and then we got chronic disease right away. Here we go. Berberine is a quaternary ammonia salt for the, my computer's too far away from me, and it's really small print. Group of alkaloids is found in such plants as berberis. As you can see, Oregon grape, golden seal, California poppy, all these great things. In vitro, it exerts significant anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial activities. In animal models, berberine has neuroprotective and cardiovascular protective effects. In humans, its lipid-lowering and insulin-resistant improving actions have clearly been demonstrated in numerous randomized clinical trials. Moreover, primary clinical evidence suggests that the ability of berberine is reduced epithelial inflammation, improving vascular health, even in patients already affected by cardiovascular disease. Altogether, the available evidence suggests the possible applications of berberine use in the management of chronic illness. And guess what happens? As you can see here, and I apologize, Travis, something must not have saved when I transfer things over, because I have another slide and we'll put it up next week. But they've shown that when you isolate berberine compared to taking in an extract of liquid that have all the other alkaloids. So they talked about just using the salt, okay, of the berberine, which is actually processing it. See, once again, minimally processed stuff does better. So when they highly process and just have the base salt of berberine, and they did a extract, once again, an alcohol extract that still has all the alkaloids, there was a much greater effect in its form that way. So there is a difference even in how it works of taking, hey, listen, I'm gonna take a blackberry and blend the blackberry, and guess what happens? Or juice it, and there's different things. Whenever you start to isolate individual compounds, it just doesn't, it's not as effective. It's not. That's one of the reasons why I love liquid, because we can extract everything as a whole, so therefore you get berberine, but then you get all the alkaloids, and the alkaloids have nitrogen, sulfur, and other compounds that make it work, because that berberine is attached to other nutrients that when it goes into the body, there's a greater effect. So would I ever encourage a person to go out and buy an isolated berberine supplement? No. I want you to go after the sources that have in its full form, so you get the berberine, but also all the alkaloids that exist in nature for it to work properly. So I apologize. I'll put the slide up. I'll put the research slide up because I said it was great research on it. I'll put the research up next week. I apologize. It must not have saved when I transfer everything over, but I will post that. Actually, but believe it or not, what I'll do is in the comments below, we'll post it so people can see it. So I don't have to wait till next week, but also I will post it next week too, just to make sure. Now, there's some other great research out there, and you'd be surprised, and here we go. Berberine treats. Hold the phone, come back here. Just to let you know, being a chiropractor, I don't like these words. Treats, cures. It's like you take this happens, okay? They're trying to treat it like a drug. No, what happens is when you introduce berberine and its alkaloids together into the system, there's a positive regenerative and restorative effect to these things, and so therefore there's a beautiful change in the body to put it back to normal. But that's not curing or treating anything. That's just getting the body back to a normal homeostatic regulation, as you saw from before, what that does, that berberine does once you get into the cellular, and how it affects AMPK. So let's take a look at this again. Berberine treats atherosclerosis via a vitamin-like effect, downregulating following TMAO production pathway in gut microbiota. You saw there was an effect on the heart, the brain, and see, everybody's looking going, oh my goodness, it helps with adipose tissue, helps with visceral, helps with subcutaneous. But it also has a major effect on multiple organ systems, because here's what happens. The mechanism of action is not just in the adipose tissue, which may be your major thing. Like, okay, I want to lose weight, and they even have drugs to do it, but there's consequences, and a lot of them are negative. But something like berberine, there can be a positive, but how do we maximize berberine? By having it with all the alkaloids. And Doc, before you had the research article up there that showed you all the plant sources that have them in there, that's right. The one that I absolutely adore and love, and I think people should be taking this on a regular basis, is Oregon grape. This has that effect in very high concentrations of berberine. And as you know, there's other plants that do. Oregon grape, golden seal, California poppy, barberry, tree turmeric. All these things have wonderful amounts of berberine. I just like the mechanism of action and the alkaloids that Oregon grape has in the most. See, that's the thing. When I studied herbology, and went through all the things and took my classes on and did stuff, that's my background, okay? It's pretty awesome. I said that's why I love immunology, I love nutrition, I love herbs, I love all the stuff. And then they go, okay, why, Doc, did you give somebody Oregon grape? There's going to be certain constituents in there that I'm trying to support a pathway, because that's what doctors like us, that's what coaches, that's why people do like us, is they actually do what? They support. They give you information, say, listen, here's how it works, and here's what we're doing it for. And there's a mechanism of action that we want to do with it. And therefore, the great thing is, there's minimal to no side effects on a lot of things. Are there side effects to different herbs? Sure there is. There's contraindications for certain ones. And you have to know that. That's why sometimes I get a little freaked out when people just go to Amazon and buy stuff. And like I said, I encourage people to do that too, just because, like I said, a lot of these things have minimal to no side effects. But there are some you gotta be careful on, okay? So that's why you need good information, good guidance, and that's what the purpose of the show is for, is to just give you the good information like this so you can make great choices. All right, love Oregon grape. I think it's one of the things that if you are looking to really affect your weight, affect certain tissues, so right now if you want to step up some of your weight loss, guess what happens? Add Oregon grape in there. If you want to see some distribution of the subcutaneous tissue, especially women, please do me a favor. Add 1 avocado a day for 3 months and watch what happens. you'll start to get that better hourglass shape, those good curves, because the adipose tissue will start to distribute subcutaneously to different parts of the body. It happens both men and women. It's just women had a greater effect in the research itself. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move into our last 10%. All right, as we move into our last 10%, next week we'll start to have our first link for what you can see right here on the slide, our Leadership and Longevity Conference. Remember, Memorial Day weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we'll be celebrating absolutely amazing event that allows us to pour into you with all these leadership things. I'm bringing other great people in from town. I'm bringing great leadership people, great longevity people. We're also going to be speaking, people within our company will be speaking there. It's made for the public. There'll be doctors, there'll be nurses, there'll be chiropractors, there'll be naturopaths, there'll be nurse practitioners, there'll be people all over. So you might be sitting right next to a surgeon or a chiropractor. But guess what happens? Save the date. I will tell you right now, all the things that I talk to you about sometimes, like saying this, you see somebody great, look at the people around them. That's actually a leadership principle. I surround myself with the best of the best of the best so we can bring you the best. I will perform my gifts and things the best for you. And that's why I've been able to develop such an amazing international company that has done great things. And within the chiropractic profession, I've kind of did something that hasn't been done yet. And I'm very proud of that. But I'm very proud of that because I learned leadership principles when I was a teenager. And I was encouraged by my mom and dad to continue to develop those things. And then what I did is when I really learned. And here's the one thing for the new year that I want you guys to understand. And if you can get this one major leadership principle down, your life will change. 2024 and beyond will be the greatest years of your life. And here it is. There's nothing that you can do by yourself. You need other great people to accomplish it. Great people are not born, they're developed. There's nobody that's born great. I think it's so misleading when people say, well, he's a natural born leader. There's no such thing. There's no such thing, okay? If you are invested in, and that's why I spend so much time investing into other people, and time, money, energy, the three most important things, and to teach them that guess what happens? You can be great. Look at me right now, every one of you guys right now, if you're not living the life of your dreams, trust me, I live in a fantasy world. You know what I'm saying? I've helped more people succeed in their dreams than they could ever imagine. And that's why we have such a great culture, and that's why I believe our team gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But that just comes from, if you want to do something great, you need other great people around you. I actually tell people, I say, listen, I think the Lone Ranger, the TV show when I was a kid, is one of the biggest misconceptions and a big lie in the world. Because even the Lone Ranger needed Tonto. You did. There's times that Tonto saved his butt. You say, if you think, remember, it doesn't mean that you can't be extremely skilled, but you're not skilled at everything. So if you want to do great things, you need other great people, and great people are not born, they're developed. You never go wrong when you invest in other people. This Saturday show is to invest in you. Do I expect anything in return? No. Heck, I give so much stuff away. I just try to give so much value out there, but boy, it comes back. And that's the thing. Invest into other people. There's people out there that need you, and maybe you need us. Watch the show, come to the seminar, do the things this. I try to give so much information free out there for you. You're gonna be surprised what I charge for the tickets for this. It'll blow your mind away. Because guess what happens? Even bringing in longevity speakers or leadership speakers, it costs 5 figures. 5 figures, if not more, okay? But what happens is this, I'm big on the Green Bay community. I'm big on all the communities, but Green Bay is my home. Love this town, I love everything about it. I love the snow, I love the people. It's just a fantastic. I love the Midwest. I like that I can go up into the Way Woods, just going north here where I grew up in Crivets, which is, once again, is a wonderful town. They have the High Falls flowage. Once again, I haven't even checked if ice fishing's up there yet. Yes, it's a Wisconsin, Michigan, Midwest thing. But anyways, yes, and I never ice fished. I actually just went out there and went skating, run around, played hockey, all the good stuff we did on the ice. It was kind of cool. But anyways, check out that place. Save the date. I guarantee it allows us to invest into you and vice versa, and we'll have just an amazing weekend. All right, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to turn it back over to Lauren, Aaron, and Dr. Bryce, and we're going to start our giveaways.
Yeah, so thank you guys all for tuning in this morning. We appreciate all the interaction. A lot of you guys probably don't know, but I am backstage here all the time. I'm constantly monitoring the chat, and today has been by far the most interaction I've seen, so it's absolutely great. Thank you to Amy, Lindsay, Amanda, Rachel. You guys have all been absolutely great, asking great questions. So who have you guys kind of been interacting with? This has been fun.
Oh my goodness, so many of the past winners have been so grateful, and thank you and shout outs, and so many people interested in the Academy. Seeing names pop up again week after week, that is absolutely fabulous. New questions, and the amazing thing is all of you interacting, questioning, asking Dr. Bryce, asking other people questions, and helping each other out. Like, this is a fabulous community here. So thank you, Rachel and Jolene and Amanda, Jessica, Nicole, thank you. Way to go on that Academy scholarship.
That's awesome.
Right, like coming back and a thank you, that's fabulous. So yeah, it's hopping over here. Private messages coming in, it's been.
Oh yeah, a lot of private messages, it's awesome. But you guys do ask some very great questions. So we are very thankful for you guys as well for tuning in and making sure that you guys are interacting with us. It's really fun.
Yes.
Yeah. And Facebook's been just as busy. Lots of people interacting in the chat, asking questions, all the things. Keep trying to usher them over to the ADP website, but it's just a party in there. So thank you to Deborah O'Neill, Clara Cadlick, Kristen Simones-Erner, all the people asking questions, all the people commenting, and Scott Peterson, who loves the Choose Your Hard line. So
Yeah, it's hot over
awesome.
here.
yeah, it's been busy.
Hey Doc, did you have something?
I do. I really do. We have decided during the show, our wonderful three people over there and I decided, it's kind of cool. I can multitask. I can look at the camera and text. That's kind of neat. And I've decided this show, I don't want to give $1,000 away. If you are watching live right now, if you email us put the address up right now, email us at giveaways@thewellnessway.com. Giveaways@thewellnessway.com. You will get one of the organ glandulars that are sitting in front, back of Erin. Show it in front of her. Let's show in front of her. Oh, got to take away giveaway email address away though. We got to take that away, Travis. He'll pull that away. Don't worry, it's going to go away. In front of her. Yeah, there. Oh, wrong one, Travis. There we go. It was awesome. It was great. Yeah, see the 4 glandulars down there? There is the digestive glandular, female glandular, immune glandular, thyroid glandular. Guess what happens? Travis, put it back up there now. Put it in front of me right now, the screen for the giveaways. Do me a favor. Go to the giveaways@thewellnessway.com, and I'm not joking. If you send us an email and you're live right now, you have within 1 hour to send an email, and you will get a free supplement. That means everybody. So if there's 5,000 people watching, and those things are $70, I just gave away $35,000. Not a joke. Not a joke. Please do me a favor. Put a heart there. Can you share the show? If you're on Facebook, can you share the show? If you're on Instagram, if you're on TikTok, if you're on the platform that way, can you get somebody? Because here's what happens this. We are going to do giveaways all month long, every show. And every one of you guys, all you have to do is email, and my team will respond to you, and you will get a free supplement shipped out next week. You'll get one of the free glandulars out that's shipped out next week and stuff. Because you know why? You guys have been, like I said, I can't thank God enough for being what I feel massively blessed. I have the most amazing people in my life. And to give you an example, you see Erin, our head journalist over there. People do not realize that young lady sitting to the left of her is her wonderful daughter. And she is actually married to Dr. Lucas and stuff. And Christian, Erin's husband, Lauren's dad, also works here. And he is incredible. He's a manager of one of our departments and absolutely incredible individual. But see, that's what happens. Those two invest into their daughter with the same principles I'm teaching you, same leadership that way, and look what they developed. And then, what a romantic story. Dr. Lucas is intern here. They met, the stars flowed, and they're married. Is awesome. It's good stuff. Dr. Bryce, once again, amazing. That young man trained hard. I pushed him hard. If you ask anybody, I'm not easy on people. I'm not. Because guess what happens this? Great people are not born to be developed. And if you look at sports of today, you need to push people to be great. They can have talent like crazy, but talent is not enough. They need to be invested in. And by you guys investing your time and energy to watch me, I'm gonna use my money and give you some value back, and we're gonna sell you a supplement. Apologize, we're gonna give you a supplement. Guess what happens this? It's not sold to you, it's given to you. All you have to do is email us, giveaways@thewellnessway.com. You got 1 hour, and guess what happens? What does this teach you? If you are live and you are hanging out with me and you're doing things with me and living life with me that way, guess what happens? Just think about this. What do you think at the Leadership Longevity Conference, the kind of giveaways I'm gonna give there, if there's 5,000 you guys watching from all the platforms right now, and I give each one of you guys a $70 supplement, guess what happens? You can add it up. Do you say Because once again, I believe our community, and this is a community of people watching us. You may not live in Green Bay. You may be in Florida. You may be somewhere else that way. You may be in California. You're part of my community. I love my Green Bay community. I really do. And I believe that giveaways, and we need to give to people. You can't go wrong when you just give to people. You can't. Invest into people. I expect nothing back. You say, Actually, I just lied. Could you do me a favor? Can you share this information with somebody? That's it. Just share the information. Because that's all it is. It's just information that you can take and decide if you want to apply this to your life or not. But the idea is this: I believe it's great information that you can research, fact check, give me some comments. So we will see you guys next week. Once again, live, more giveaways and everything. But for you guys, congratulations for winning. You are a winner. And guess what happens? You're doing the things to win in life, which is watch this show, take the information, put it into your life. And I wanted to give something to you for hanging in with me on a nice, wonderful show at the beginning of the year. But this year, I guarantee I'm going to give a record away of giveaways because I want you guys to live life with me, enjoy it. Can't thank the great team from Travis to everybody that's here, everybody across the company. You guys are amazing. Once again, I get a lot of publicity because I'm in front of the camera, but I will tell you right now, the behind the scenes people are just as important because then this could happen out to you. Guys, go find great people to live life with. God bless you. Happy New Year. We'll see you next week. For the unedited, full-length, unapologetic content, go to our website to watch ADP shows. Hit that subscribe button and join our community for the most amazing content like this every day.